Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Monday. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you that, but it is, and that's okay. It's going to be an absolutely gorgeous Monday, it looks like. Finally, after complaining about not having a spring, basically, it was just 50s and 60s, rain and then not rain, 50s and 60s, rain and not rain. Well, just like always, it's going to go, 90 degrees on Wednesday? So you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Right, John?
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. For some reason, my speaker about freaked out on me. I thought I was about to lose you, but yeah, some context with that for the listeners and the viewers. Before the show, he said those lyrics to me, and I didn't realize they were lyrics, showing the generation gap between me and Jim, but he pointed out to me
that's not a generation. See, to me, that's not a generation gap. That's just one of those. How can you not know? You can't always get what you want. How can you not know?
For some reason, the Rolling Stones are just one of those bands, and I know they're one of those bands that everybody knows of. It doesn't matter who you are, but for me, they're one of those groups that, even though I know who the Rolling Stones are, I never really got into them, listened to some of their songs. I just hear them in passing. I know Brown Sugar, and the only reason I know Brown Sugar is because it's part of our bump music list for stuff we do at iHeart. That's like the only song that I could recall by muscle memory by the Rolling Stones.
Well, there's that. Not a lot going on over the weekend as far as AAU action. It was basically a weekend off. Mother's Day. I think that was the main reason. Charlie Miller joining us. How are you, sir? I hope that your wife had a happy Mother's Day this weekend.
Sounds like it.
It did?
It sounds like it. Yeah, I wasn't around.
Oh, well, that's good.
You're
You're out making the bacon.
Yeah, I heard she had a great time. Eating crab legs and hanging with the kids. She had a stupendous time. I heard about it.
Oh yeah, I heard about it and get the bill for it.
Yeah, I heard about it. So, how you guys doing?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you doing? Well, Father's Day rolls back around, so there's karma for that,
Yeah, that's another day. They'll treat it as another day.
It doesn't work that way, though, does it? No crab legs in your Father's Day future, I bet.
No, just seafood. Just seafood. SEEFOOD. What you see, you eat.
Exactly.
There you go.
Hey, I'm lucky to get my daughter to call me to pull her head up.
Yep.
So don't worry. I hear you. How was your weekend, man? Were you working? Where were you?
I was here at home. Weekend was great. Saturday went out to an area called Lake Grapevine here in Dallas. Man, it was beautiful. Was on the lake with a friend of ours, and man, enjoyed it. Just nothing like connection, man, with people, that allow you to train their kids up, and it was just a great time. Just soaking all the sun up and having fun. That's it.
I did very little. I tell you, it was a very relaxing weekend. Yesterday, I played golf by myself.
Nice.
And that way I could hide my score. I didn't have to tell anybody. But, yeah, it was a very relaxing weekend. Just not a lot going on because of Mother's Day, I think. Time to sit back. Indiana did have a baseball series with Michigan that they were leading, the last I heard. I have to go back and check to see if they won that game with Michigan. But yeah, just a nice weekend. The Kentucky Derby went off with an outstanding race that produced the second highest, biggest upset, I think, ever, Charlie.
Well, I saw that.
John, you were down there, I know, as well. Pretty cool situation.
Yeah, and to continue a little factoid, the last time a horse with, or I guess the horse with the most odds ever, it was 91-1, was back in the year 1913. So over 100 years ago, did we have that original record set, and the closest it's ever come was Rich Strike this past weekend.
The for people that's not a bettor, there's a term superfecta. That's where you pick the first 4 horses, and that's what I like to bet in the Derby if I bet. And I didn't get a bet down here, but from now on, I'm taking the long shot over the favorites. And because the superfecta, Charlie, paid $367,000.
Wow.
To a $1 I think that's just to a $1 ticket, or maybe a $2 bet.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, again, just to go and say, hey, I'm gonna just bet on this long shot, to walk away with that kind of money, that's like amazing, man.
Well, in that kind of an event, Kentucky Derby, usually the long shots get shuffled away, and man, it was kind of a cool thing to watch. They've got the overhead version of it, and you can watch him just picking his way through, and it's pretty cool to watch. But not a lot going on the AAU circuit this weekend, although you were out getting things done, doing some work, but not a lot happening with like the Adidas circuit and that sort of thing. So other than Trace Jackson Davis getting an invite to the combine, not a lot of news, but that is news. But that's not unexpected. I thought that he was going to get an invite. I mean, it's almost hard not to invite him.
Correct. Well, based upon, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
I know. I was just going to say, how many guys get invited?
I don't remember, but I know you got to think out of all the leagues, man, it's going to be probably between 50 to 60 guys that's going to probably show up and have an opportunity, plus overseas players as well, that we may not, be privy to about hearing every single day. Now, that's in Chicago still, correct?
Yeah, it's roughly 60 players.
Yeah, 60. I was going to say 60.
And it's not a set number. It's just roughly. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way he's not in the top 65.
Yeah.
I mean, so, yeah, he's getting an invite. And this is his opportunity to show. And all he has to do, here's the funny thing. All he has to do is just have good workouts. He could just be on that day, and that could change things.
You already got his body of work, night in, night out, for the years of what he's done at IU. So he can play, just like a lot of these players. Now, like you said, because a lot of times, my opinion is always, you're drafted for potential. There's no immediate need for you. Think about the number 1 draft pick sometimes. I mean, you're going to not a crappy team, but just call it what it is. You're going to a bad team, you might put up decent numbers, but you're not winning, right? That sounds great until like year 3 or 4 for you, when you now want to be on a better team and wish you drafted so high. So he has the body of work. He has the resume. Now, what they're going to see, they're going to be amazed at how he can shoot the 15-footer, how he can pick and pop, right? His athleticism, running towards the rim, being a rim runner, him put the ball on the floor. The expansion of his game is going to be on display, which now teams might say, okay, I can see him doing certain things probably a couple of years from now, may not be the immediate need. And that's going to be his ultimate decision. If I'm still correct, he's still open to coming back, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. Is it a runoff for, the potential of playing right away or sitting and waiting to say I'm an NBA player, or I go get better, I get better and better with now a bond of brothers at IU. We galvanized. We do everything that we were going to do, win more games to put yourself in a better position next year, even holistically, maturely.
Absolutely. That's what everyone's waiting to find out, because the
Right.
fans they know that they're on the precipice of having the best team they've had probably since 2013 at a minimum.
Right.
They had a good 2015, 16, they won the Big Ten also. I don't want to forget that team, but yes. And Glenn Rainey jumping on. Hey, Glenn, how are you, man? He's up from Tallahassee. He was working the Derby this weekend.
Nice.
But our friends over at Wave, Kent Taylor, how you doing, man? Tell Kent I said, hey, what up, Kent? But yes, what was that? What were the opportunity for Trey Jackson Davis comes now, but and this is not necessarily an opportunity for now either. This is people that are looking for next year, because I think he does not go in the draft personally. But hey, like I said, if he has electric workouts for some reason, somebody just says, hey, let's just go ahead and pull the trigger on him now. Unless that happens, I expect him to be back. But this is for next year too. I mean, these conversations he's going to be having with GMs and whatever else goes on in the combine. What all does happen there? What all do they have to go through?
Yeah, you said it, right? I mean, not only the workouts, you pretty much picked and product on as far as your body, your size. Are you really 6'9"? Are you really 6'7"? Are you really 6'8.5"? Weight-wise, then your question, some intimate questions, because again, if they really like you, realize you probably have some people following you. You probably have some people following you for a while, asking you about character questions, or just basic IQ questions about life, in general, and they want to hear responses. And they know these are young men that that may not be the most well-rounded, articulated. I mean, you just said it puts you in a position to know what to expect for next year, on questions, on preparing, on understanding how you need to treat your body like a racehorse, pun intended. Right?
There you go. Perfect.
I mean, your body's now your business.
Not just a racehorse, but a thoroughbred.
Right. Your body now is your business. I mean, the way you eat, sleep, drink, the food intake, the vitamins, I mean, to the blood type. Like you're going to get an opportunity to know who you are, right, and what you represent. And then you're going to see why, what comes off on ESPN, the ticker, and, all these places. Oh, this kid just made $30 million. No, that $30 million was scrutinized, right? That money was scrutinized to the cent, not just giving it away. There's a return on investment that everybody wants back. So yeah, he has an opportunity to really put himself in position to understand what it's going to really take to become a professional player for years to come.
Absolutely, and that's what he's going to get to do this weekend. I want to make sure we're not going over break time. No, we're good. And working out with other players that we've seen some videos popping out. That helps. That gives you confidence. It's just all about the experience, and he's doing the right thing. I mean, by going through this process, whether he goes or not, this is all a part of the growing up process, of the maturing process, of knowing if he does come back, of knowing that he is a team leader, and not that he didn't perform that way, but this team didn't seem like it really had a leader last year. And just because you're a leading scorer or you're the leading assist guy does not mean you're the team leader. And it just seemed a little rudderless to me, Charlie.
You said it, right? I mean, I don't know him personally, but he doesn't seem like the most outspoken, stand up, kind of, be the middle person for the team and the coaches. It may be in the locker room, but I didn't see that. I'm not saying you have to. Sometimes you do have quiet leaders. But yet, yeah, you're going to need, especially what happened down the latter stretch of the season where some crucial games we had players miss for, misconduct. It's going to have to be some stepping up and probably getting uncomfortable and making that your comfort zone if you really want to see 5 or 6 more wins. because it's going to have to be a tone that he sets culturally, right? You got a lot of incoming freshmen, a lot of prestige coming behind these guys. So you want to make sure you lead these guys and leave behind a legacy of winning work ethic and tradition. So he has an opportunity to really step up. He comes back, and I'm hoping we see a different side of Trace.
We've got more coming up. Charlie Miller's with us right now here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. BB's Market is your meat store wherever you live. I can't find it. There we go. And local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer. You can reach out to them at visitbbsmarket.com and get some great meats, some of the best made in-house products around. BB's Marketplace. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or...
What's going on, guys?
Well, hey.
What's the weather like? Oh,
Skylar Staley. Not a lot happening this weekend, is there?
No, there wasn't. Not a whole lot.
We were just talking about the combine.
Yeah, I was listening a little bit.
how you doing, Kyler?
Good. How are you doing, Charlie?
Awesome, man.
Good.
You're in Tallahassee?
No, I'm in Indy.
Oh, buddy, my Glenn Rainey was
my bad.
listening. He's from he's from here originally,
My bad.
but he's still up here, I believe.
Yeah. What's the weather like right now in Bloomington area?
It is
Sunshine, baby.
Indy's getting hot. It's gonna be hot this week.
It's hot in her.
Nice.
Speaking of which, Jennifer, who listens, she should throw that picture up. She went down and saw Snoop Dogg, D-O-double-G,
And met Snoop Dogg.
and got a picture with him.
Nice.
I see. If I'd have done that, if been there, I'd have said, "Hey, Snoop D-O-double-G, you know that jacket you wore on that video? Did you see that video or a jacket he wore, Charlie?
That blue, that blue one with like the dog, like
This is an IU jacket.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh.
Really?
Do you don't still have that picture, John?
I've never seen it.
I thought I saw it on this show.
Yeah, we've
Are
had
you
it.
serious?
Yeah.
Positive. I sent it to you before. I'll find
Why
it.
am I usually don't forget stuff like that. I wonder where it might be at.
Maybe Keegan was the producer for the show. I don't remember.
It wasn't me.
I can't remember. But I know I've seen it on this show.
Screenshot. Oh, I will find it. Don't you worry. None. It's a pretty cool jacket, but I'm like, oh, what the hell? Never seen it anywhere either. Can't find it.
Man, if there's ever a person in life that can just be him all day, every day, it's Snoop Dogg, man. It's crazy to see how far he's come. And he's always him. I bet it's just like action. Where's the script? Just go. Just go.
I was actually just thinking that when I saw that picture. I'm like, well, here it is right here. He's just living life. Right. I'm gonna share this.
Okay, and I'll text you when I've got it uploaded, and if you want to throw it up, we can. Here we go.
Basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Kicking your week off, man. It is nice. Spring has arrived. Charlie Miller's with us. Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com has joined us. I'm Jim Coyle. I hope you're having a good day. Then we're going to try to make it better if not. Kyler Staley from Hoosier.com. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Cannot complain. Charlie Miller, of course, with us as well.
How you doing, Kyler?
Doing good. Doing good.
Not a lot to talk about from this past weekend as far as the AAU action. The only thing really is we were just discussing the invite from Trace Jackson Davis to the Combine. But there have been offers that have continued to go out for Indiana. They're continuing to recruit the 2023 and 24 classes.
Yeah. I think obviously there wasn't any AAU ball, any major AAU ball this past weekend. But the big thing that came out of kind of late last week was the 2 visits that they had with the 2023 guys. Jonathan Powell from Wildcat Select playing with Gabe Cups next year. And then they also had a visit from Travis Perry from Indiana Elite. And then they offered Jonathan Powell, but there is no offer from towards Travis Perry yet.
Is that the kid from Kentucky?
Yes. Yep.
Eddyville. He's down there by the prison. Western Kentucky. Not a lot of players come out of there. Not a lot of players at all that get Indiana offers. Rarely does that happen. You go to Miami before you go to Kentucky, right, Charlie?
That's a good one.
Oh, man. But so with not the weekend off, everybody kind of catches their breath, but it picks back up in earnest next weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah. They've got the Adidas May Classic coming up this weekend. There's also a Prep Hoops event going on. The Adidas will have all the Indiana Elite guys, so we'll see Flory Badunga, Cooper Koch, Riley Burgess, and Travis Perry. And then, of course, you got JQ Roberts on the 17 U team. So we'll get to check all those guys out again.
Can't wait to do that. Charlie, you're luckily for you though, yours is more like a camp setting. So you don't slow down at all, do you?
No. I mean, my slow period may be about 90 days. If I really think about it, about a 90-day reprieve, and then you're back at it. And so kind of, that's the path I chose. It's more player development, not necessarily AAU, not saying, it's wrong or right, but I'm still on the court. That's what I love about it, guys. I'm still on the court. Like, I'm coaching, from within, man. And that's, sitting on the sidelines is great, but right now it's still boring to me. It's hard just to watch. I want to get out there and get a rep or two, right? I want to sweat, man. It's nothing like sweating with players. So yeah, so that's just kind of, the path I chose, and that bug may change, but man, I can only imagine being in the gym watching all those games, and sometimes those games are not that flattering, Kyler.
No, I mean, yeah, really, it's really hit and miss sometimes. If there's a blowout or something, there's only so much you can see out of a player when you're scouting them. If the score differential's 40, so it really is hard. It's hit and miss, but when you do get those really good games, the ones that come down to the last 2 minutes, that is fun. That's what makes AAU really, really fun.
Yeah.
I tell you who's not having fun right now is Evansville. They are without a basketball staff, and kind of an odd time to do it. They fired Todd Licklider last week and the entire staff, which I found a little surprising. Kyler?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of just a weird time that you did that. Like, you had all these months, to do that. I mean, the basketball season's been over with for quite some time now. It's just kind of why now? Why now did you choose to fire your coach and the whole coaching staff?
Yeah, odd time, Charlie. Puts it. Especially, it came right after the end of the transfer portal, didn't it?
Yeah. Luckily, those players do have another month to transfer, so at least they have that.
There is that, but just something close by that's going on. But it's funny. One name that we have not heard that we heard Tom Crean thrown about last week, Charlie, for that job. But one name that has not come up, Dane Fife.
I don't know. It's still a mystery, man. I don't know if it's something we can talk about, but I'm still kind of puzzled as to what happened with us. with Dane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like. I'm not like calling around. You know, I don't want to be, the nosy person to get the inside scoop. At the same time, it's still a mystery to me. I'm just looking at body language in some games, and he's not even getting off the bench, and just seemed like it was a distance. I really didn't hear from him that much. In pressers, I don't know. I mean, I'm torn. I'm just torn because there's a personal relationship that's there, and you want to see all your guys successful, win, and whatever it might be in whatever capacity, especially when you're talking about coaching in college. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned that, but not the rift is not the right word, but in the efforts of bringing everybody back together as far as the former IU guys, is this one of those things that kind of makes it a little more difficult for that to happen because Dane's got a lot of buddies and friends and that he played with and whatnot. That era, that group of guys, that kind of makes maybe the relationship with IU not as strong, I guess.
Well, I'm laughing a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it was all fanfare beforehand. Dane's coming home. Dane, the drive back to Bloomington, and now it's like, okay, he's gone. Crickets on tumbleweed, and now it's like, what the heck happened? What the heck? I'm like, can we get some inside scoop? Can you let us know what happened? Or is it just we looked the other way? It's just like this world of recruiting, freaking marketing, man. Everything is great in the beginning. Now you have some differences of opinion or whatever. It's like, let's just settle our differences. The PC way. Bob that era, I'm more than certain we probably would have figured out a long time ago. This ain't gonna work. He's gonna be a half season, and I just wish him the best. And no more questions.
Exactly. That's how that's going to go. Michael asking, where are AAU games this weekend and can the public attend? Kyler, there's a couple events going on this weekend in the Indianapolis area. That is the Adidas May Classic. Where is that taking place?
So from what I looked at, it's pretty much all around the Fishers area. So you've got like Best Choice Fieldhouse, and then over at Finch Creek in Noblesville. I think Fishers High School is hosting a few games as well.
So it must be a lot of teams, and if you got three different venues.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the rosters and the teams haven't been announced yet, so that'll come later on this week. But as far as the venues, that's what I've seen so far. They're just around the Fishers, Noblesville, Carmel area.
But the public can attend those events. They can just go in and watch. I'll tell you, it's not like it's a high school gym with tons of seating room. There's not a lot of seating.
Right.
And you imagine you've got tons of coaches, tons of parents there. Although the coaches have their own area to sit in, it's still not a lot of seating areas. Think about that. Also this weekend, the Prep Hoops Havoc in the Heartland. Where and what is that?
So it's just kind of going on the Prep Hoop circuit that they have. So I'll help out a little bit with them this weekend. As far as teams and everything, I don't know as far as any Indiana recruits that are going to be there yet. It's going to be more low level Division II, Division III players. But the big one's going to be the Adidas May Classic, and that's going to have, the Indiana Elite guys, all those Indiana Elite style teams will be there.
And who are some of the names? Cups usually plays in that circuit, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be here. And then you'll also, like I mentioned earlier, you'll have the Indiana League guys with Flory Badunga, Cooper Koch, Riley Burgess, Travis Perry, and then that's the 16U team. And on the 17U team, you've got JQ Roberts. Trying to think of who else. Jaron Tibbs, Jake Davis. So you've got those guys up in that level.
Lots of talent, man. Lots of talent. It seems like it just gets tougher every year, Charlie, to differentiate because these coaches have to go in and spot the talent. And it's not the talent that you spot; it's the potential talent that you spot.
Yeah, I mean, and just like anything else, I remember, talking to a head coach in college several years ago, just because, again, I just wanted to get, I'm on the other side now, not as a player, not as a prospect. What are you looking for in a player, say early spring, late summer? I want to see the player get better. Players will have bad games. That's fine. I want to see a difference in basketball IQ, mannerism, character, not having a good game, how they're going to respond on the bench. Are they interested? I want to see that. And I think because of all these games, it's so hard. I mean, and Kyla, you may know better than I do, but to me, it's so hard to understand, to see consistency because you're playing so many games. I mean, you only have so much mental and physical capability as far as endurance, both ways. But again, just the consistency of players that seize the moments of opportunities, to see the difference of the unseen out, setting a key screen, getting a crucial block, taking a charge, right? Energizing the bench, not playing a great game. To me, I think that's what you want to look at the majority of the time. Because you've already got your guys slated. You're going to see certain people you've already validated. Validated. You're going to go look at these players, qualify them. Now I want to see him in action. Is he who we think he is, and can he fit our culture? Can he grow into what we want him to be? 3-4 years from now. So you're right on, Jim. To me.
And now it's changed so much, Kyler, with the transfer portal. But Indiana is really. It seems like their recruiting has not changed as far as your organic, typical recruiting of the high school kids. They're out there recruiting kids that are still 3 years away from graduating. So that is grassroots recruiting there that they have continued, where some teams probably don't start looking at kids until later in their career, or just look at the portal.
Yeah, I think for Indiana's case, you've got a good balance. They have looked in the transfer portal, but they are still recruiting the high school level. There's some colleges out there now that are strictly only in the transfer portal now, and then there's some that are still just strictly on the grassroots level. But Indiana, from what I've seen, they have really they've got a good balance going on, and they're really sticking with the homegrown talent. Like the Jalen Harrelsons and the Trent Sisleys and stuff, and really building that relationship. But they're also, being active in the transfer portal, when you see with like Dexter Dennis and seeing people that can come right in and fit into their system.
And Charlie, with the way that recruiting has changed, I think that it is of immense importance of what Mike Woodson is doing in that regard, and continuing to recruit to have your core kids, because Indiana, first of all, Indiana produces a ton of talent out of this state, but to have your core kids, I think that after a few years, the transfer portal is going to settle down a little bit. The NIL stuff is going to settle down, and I'm not saying it's going to be like it used to be, because nothing is going to be like it used to be. That's not life. That's not normal. It's not real. Right. Life goes on and changes. So these changes are going to be there, but I think that they'll find their level, so to speak.
Yeah, and you got to think, with respect to former coaches, the relationships with AAU coaches, high school coaches, they're going to be rekindled, because now there is a refresh, begin again, present stage at IU that is going to be more welcoming because of Coach Woodson. I just think the sheer strength of him being a homegrown player himself, the things he did in college, things he did as a professional player, his connections, I just think that's going to open up what was probably closed or ignored, say, years ago. Nothing against the former coaches, but I think that door's back open again, and you just said it. You're going to probably start getting the serious looks of top players in the state not wanting to leave and come down to Bloomington to play.
And that, how important is that?
I think that's very important, because now, you're getting back to, even though I was an outsider, looking in from Florida, I think you're getting back to the essence of, again, not necessarily what it was like, in the 80s and 90s, but now with the parity of of recruiting, right? Where you pretty much can go anywhere in the country to go play. That says a lot that you can win that edge from, say, a Notre Dame or Purdue, where kids would choose to come to Bloomington and for reasons not only play for Coach Woodson, but to also bring that mystique tradition back to Indiana.
Kyler, Coach Woodson is having his summer basketball camps coming up, a la Bob Knight, who used to have those. And that was a big deal back in the day for kids around this state to go to the Bob Knight basketball camp. Now, I'm not saying it's that yet, but getting that back, I think, is important, because if you're going to be the marquee program, you got to have all that stuff that draws the kids in. Because the kids of today, they've got nothing to look at Indiana about as far as accomplishments. So I think that's something that is great with the marketing side of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even I remember my little brother went to Tom Crean's summer camps. Even he had that. And then when Archie came in, they kind of did away with a lot of that. So I think it's huge, especially for the younger kids, to go in, have that experience and try to learn, about Indiana and just what the program is and stuff. It's just great for, everyone involved with these camps.
Yeah, it was hard for Archie. It's kind of hard to have camps when you don't talk to people.
Right.
Hey man, it's been another good one. Appreciate you. Another was easy weekend, but it gets back to it this weekend. So you'll be up and running, and you can make sure you find everything that he's covering on the Hoosier.com, as he'll be at the Adidas May Classic coming up this weekend, covering all the incoming potential recruits and targets for Indiana. Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com. Can't thank you enough.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Charlie, are you you have to bolt now?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate you, man, as always, for letting me come on and talk some nonsense and get on my way.
It's almost, summer break's almost here, man. We're looking forward to it. Charlie Miller, I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, guys, have a great one.
Hey, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant. Southern Stone, of course, located on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Southern Stone provides great Southern fare with a Southern charm. Make sure you find it. You can also find it online. Back with more. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times joins us next, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington. What up, Mr. Dopirak?
Not much, Jim. How you doing, sir?
A lot better. John, do you know what I used to call him when he first started coming on here?
No, what?
And he did not correct me, I think. I pronounced it Dopirak.
Not that far off.
And I was like, it's very far off. What are you kidding me?
As long as you get the dough, it's supposed to be pure, but however you get those.
Who corrected you finally, or how long did it take for you to say something?
I think I may have asked
or whatever. You're on the level.
Yeah. I think I asked eventually, John. What? Not nationality. What? Yeah, I was trying to. What's the heritage? I guess.
Yeah, it's primarily Slovak, but it covers a lot of Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Those hard.
Yeah, we got some easy ones. Like this Dopirak might be the easiest of like my four sort of grandparents' names. Like it's Dopirak, Eskovich, Slepsky, and Shripka.
Wow. See, this would have actually been a great conversation to have.
We always have our fun conversations off air, it seems.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
But yeah, no, it's mostly, I think I'm 75% Slovak, but we got some Polish in there, we got some Hungarian in there, we got some Russian in there, probably got some Ukrainian in there. I imagine all of that's pretty covered. So
we will win this for Mother Russia.
Yeah. I'm not on the side of Mother Russia, for the record, when it comes to international affairs. I
just always think of that commercial with what's his name? Robin Williams.
Oh, man,
whenever he takes the Snickers or whatever. Or
for Mother Russia.
Yeah.
I have a recollection of that one. Yeah. It's been a minute.
How was your weekend, sir?
Good. Went up to South Bend, saw the in-laws. Good times. For Mother's Day, we had around here on Saturday. We saw some friends watch the Derby, which was interesting.
Great race, huh?
Yeah, something else.
30 seconds, Jim. Since you decided to get up.
Ever with the biggest crawfish boil around, complete with a beer garden, stocked with local craft brews, live music Friday and Saturday, and fun for the entire family. Where else can you get all you can eat, listen to great music, enjoy it all on a beautiful Southern Indiana spring night? Let's kick summer off early. For more information, go to the Courtroom Sports Grill Facebook page.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday, but at least it's a good-looking Monday, and Dustin Dopirak is with us from the Bloomington Herald-Times. Dustin, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Jim. How about yourself?
Good. In the break, we were talking about that Dustin's been kind enough to come on with us for a while, but in the beginning, I kept mispronouncing his name, and he never corrected me. He was just too kind, and it was horrible. And finally, I got it right. I was like, "Oh my God, I was not close." But then we were also talking about the derivative where it came from.
National origin, yes.
Yeah, I did one of those DNA things.
Did you? What'd you come out with?
It's kind of wild, which it kind of pretty much told me exactly what I was expecting. 90-something% Northwestern European, then about 74% Irish in that area,
right?
Which is what it was more than what I was expecting. I knew that was my father's side, but that's a little more than I was expecting.
So there's more Irish on your mom's side than you realized. What you're saying?
Yeah, because I knew that there was some German in there,
right,
but but yeah, mostly Irish. James Patrick Coyle, so it works.
Yeah. You sound like you just got you got off the boat, and you also just you have like forefathers who wrote like.
I should have been a priest.
Yeah,
the church. Exactly. The church would have burned down. I assure you, it would have burned down. But we were talking about Dopirak and like say Eastern European.
Yeah, mostly Slovak, almost entirely. But there's some Hungarian in there. There's some Polish in there. There's some Russian in there, actually. I think there's probably some Ukrainian in there. It's so the four names of my grandparents, four maiden names of my grandparents are Dopirak, Eskevich, Slepsky, and Chiripka. So we got a lot of very, we are quite hunky is the point. We are some old school hunky people, that all showed up in Pittsburgh, around the same time, turn of the century. I think everybody is, I think I'm like third generation from every angle, if I'm not mistaken. All four of those came over in 1910.
Wow, that's pretty close.
Not the exact years, but you know what I mean? Like somewhere between the 1890 to 1915, right?
That's a lot closer than people just realize.
Sure.
Especially if you're an older person, you do start to realize it's not that long ago because it goes so quickly.
Yeah, it's I believe all of my great grandparents were born somewhere else.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I find that stuff amazing. I was 99.2% Northwestern European with 73.6% British and Irish.
Wow.
And then 25% French and German. So there's that German part that I was talking about. Screw the French.
Yeesh.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Right. Everyone loves a nice French pastry.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to France?
No, I've never been to Europe.
Been there once. Well, I've been to Europe twice, but been to Paris once. It was before Notre Dame burned down. I didn't get to go in, but we saw it from the outside at least. It's just like the Louvre. Me and this guy were there. It was on business, but we were trying to, we We're in Paris. You got to see Paris.
Sure.
So we go to the Louvre, which is the art museum for those of you that don't know.
Are not cultured. That's rough. No.
And I was thinking it, but it's all underground. This museum is mostly, well, I shouldn't say all. That's not, but the entrance goes it's like down. A glass structure and it just goes down. That's not into we go there, and guess what is the only freaking day of the week they close for cleaning? Was the day that we went there on a Tuesday. I'm like going,
bizarre.
Tuesday? I'm like going, why Tuesday? So my only chance to go to the Louvre and see
Mona Lisa
and all that, and Monet and Manet and all that stuff. Poof, gone.
Yep.
I did get to go up and we walked up and down the how do you say that? Champs-Élysées. There you go.
Yeah, Champs-Élysées. Yeah.
Champs-Élysées. And then you have the big the thing they built, the monument that from World War I or II. I can't even remember.
The Arc de Triomphe. Yeah.
Yes. It's just cool seeing that stuff. I mean, really, like it's like wow, touching that. It's just wild because that's some seriously old time history there, baby.
Yeah, it is. No, for sure. No, it's definitely something I want to go see at some point, but never been over there.
Yeah, worth the trip. Worth the trip. You should do it. Sure. Maybe they should have some AAU events over there.
That'd be priceless.
Wouldn't that be great?
Like having AAU explained to them to be like, okay, like this is the madness that is AAU. We're bringing it to your town. You have to bring basketball warehouses. You have to create.
You Americans, you're so stupid.
We're gonna have to bring all these 16-year-old kids that are gonna run around your town for a week.
Yeah, for a weekend. You Americans, they would say, "You Americans, you're so stupid. You do some stupid things," and they would probably not be too far off on that.
You guys should actually be practicing things, like yeah. I don't know.
How many places around the world, and I'm not talking about third world countries, but would people look at the sports in America and the kids and all that does that and just say, "You're all freaking nuts, man." With all the, the 10-year-olds on these travel teams and all this stuff. And it's
part they probably get though, because I mean, I think what we're starting to see is like the specialization in the grabbing kids when they're early, like when they're young and when they show that they're skilled and kind of putting them in the pipeline, is more of a European idea. That's sort of more what it is. I mean, that's where you see these sort of clubs. I mean, like the kids get brought up in these clubs. And so that's a little different. I mean, I think like, and I don't like heading towards this because, it does seem like you're identifying kids too early and not allowing for, like you are putting, late bloomers at more of a disadvantage, than you used to. But I think that is kind of a European idea. I mean, like you get part of, the machine. I mean, that's like some of the old Soviet Union, teams really, had a mark on that, had that way of doing things. And we're starting to do that more and more as we sort of build up these clubs. It's still not the same because you're not associated and affiliated with the professional club up top. It's not, I mean, like there's something, like this, but it's not like the dominant, high school travel teams are directly associated with the professional teams. And if you move your way up, you end up on that team. Like obviously you have high school in between there that's not, necessarily associated with that. You have college that's not necessarily associated with that, but you're identifying these travel kids, earlier and earlier as to when they're going to be a part of these programs. It's harder to break in the older you get, so I think there's something to be said for that, that it's heading that way, but that's not a lot different from Europe. I mean, like they turn these kids out when they identify themselves, but it's also just not as big. It's not as big of an overall part of the culture, as far like, especially when it comes to college, with the clubs are separated, like you're not playing for your college. I mean, maybe you have a team, but it doesn't, matter. Like that's not the team that they're watching. That like, that there's not a really big, sort of television audience for college sports in the same way that there is in America. So like that allows some shifting and moving around. And I think for all the complaining that people do about college sports, I remember just talking to a guy that had come over from Spain when I was covering James Madison. He's like, you don't realize that like you don't get to play for your, team and go to school at the same time. Like that's an American thing and for all we complain about how it, takes away from the mission, like if you're an athlete and a student, then you get to go to class and practice at the same place, and you don't have to go to a bus in between, or get on a subway to get to practice. And the people that, plan the practice don't care about your classes, and the people that plan your classes don't care about your practice. Like the fact that you can do that in America and it's planned out for you, that you get to practice and go to class at the same place at the same time, that's awesome. Like that's a great thing. And that's one thing I try to remind myself when we talk about everything that's wrong with college sports. And so we frequently act like everybody else has it figured out and we don't. Like it's a big deal just to be able to say, all right, like I play on a team and I go to class at the same time, at the same place, like on the same campus. Like I don't have to, tell my coach that I've got a class that he doesn't know anything about, like that he's not, doesn't have any hand in planning, like it isn't made aware of months in advance. And I have a test this day and I have all that this day. Like my coach is aware of that, like, or at least he has it someplace to know that like, this is a time I'm going to be more busy with class. Whereas like, if you play for a club and you're trying to go to class at the same time, they're like, I don't care about that. That's not my problem. And I don't care if you're eligible, like there's no eligibility requirement for your grades or anything like that. I don't care if you graduate, I don't care if you get your degree on time. I don't care how much money you're spending to go over there. That's not my problem. So we are reminded every once in a while that it is a better situation. There's a reason a lot of people come from outside the United States to play in America, because they can do both at the same time.
I'm surprised that we don't see more European kids come to college, but is that because they can just go play pro over there right out of high school?
Yeah. I mean, some of them don't end up going to college until after their professional careers. When they get started in that whole thing, it's like, like you're making money, when you're 17, 18. I mean, some of those kids, like, the Jovic kid that was on the BC mega team that Indiana played in the Bahamas, I mean, like he's going to just come in and get drafted at 19, and he's probably been playing for, clubs. Who knows when he's gotten paid and when he hasn't, but, like they obviously, like the point of that team is to get kids drafted in the NBA. That's what it's for. Basically when you talk to their coach and say, okay, well, what's the purpose of doing these college games for you? It's like, we want exposure. We want some of these kids to go play over there for the college teams, but like, we also want to have tape of them playing American college teams so we can show those to pro scouts and they have a sense of how that crosses over, of how that translates. So, I mean, there are teams that exist. Like some teams are full, first division professional team, and they're there to win the championship, and they build veteran squads and they go get American players and everything like that. But there's some squads that are built to be developmental. They want to put guys in the NBA. I mean, BC Mega is one of those teams that it exists to put teams in the NBA. It's less interested in winning the league, and it's more interested in saying, look at all these young guys that came over and played for us that we sent over there. So, different clubs have different sort of, I guess if you say, value systems in terms of who they want to be and what they want to accomplish. And BC Mega is one of those that wants to turn out kids when they're 19 and send them over, send them to the NBA and be able to say, like, look how many we produced, and you get to be looked at that way.
Is there any reason for the NBA to keep this 19-year-old mark, that you have to be 19 now with all the NIL, with the ability to transfer at will? They pretty much have everything they could want. So eliminate that?
Like that stuff gives them even more of a reason to have it. It's the same reason. It's not the exact same, because obviously like there's a safety concern in the NFL when you're talking about putting guys in there, when they're not physically developed yet. But as far as the NBA is concerned, it's like, well, why, like as much developmental investment as someone else can put in that you don't have to, like that's kind of free labor in a manner of speaking. It's depending. Okay. Like obviously they've got the G League up there as an option, but like you can use, if you kind of push these kids through that pipeline, that's a little bit of a time that you don't have to take care of them, like they have to go mature someplace else, just a little, get out of their parents' house, and be somewhere else for a year. There's still a value to the NBA. I mean, like there are ways in which it looks dumb and makes the whole situation look skeezy in some ways, of like you're sending kids that maybe don't see a point in going to college, and they're not going to get much in the way of credits out of a year. So it only really advances the academic mission of the school they're going to so much. But if you're the NBA, it's like, all right, there is a difference between taking on a 19-year-old kid and taking on an 18-year-old kid that's never been out of the house. You know, like if you know, like, think of the small things you got to teach a kid to do. You know, like the kid's got to figure out how to do in that first year out of his parents' home. You know, like if you're an NBA team, do you really want anything to do with that? If you can avoid it, you know, like, and you still have everything else. I mean, like they've still probably picked up bad college habits. They've, you know, like they're just getting used to the social scene of what it's like to be outside of your parents' house and what all you can go out and get away with. And so, like, you're still dealing with a young guy, you know, like somebody that's still going to be immature when you get him at 19. But when you get him at 18, you know, like he's just getting out of the house and he's got money. And so it's like, all right, you know, like you get a, you know, 18-year-old multimillionaire, like, and again, that's never lived outside of his parents' house. So, you know, like he's going to get out there and he's going to go wild for a little while. And like, okay, you don't have to deal with that. If you wait until 19 to get him. Like those, it's just small things like that. I think, like, and you know, NIL might keep him in there a little bit longer. And you know, if they're coming out at 18, like sometimes you have to take the risk on what he could be. You know, like if you see somebody like LeBron James come out at 18, you can't not draft him number 1. You know, like you can't let him be somebody else, like his maturity stage be somebody else's problem, because he's that good. You can't leave him on the table. You know, LeBron didn't have that issue necessarily, as far as I know, you know, getting in trouble or whatever, or not being mature enough to be out of the house and be his own, you know, self yet. But some of those guys, it's too early, it's too much. And, you know, like at least you got a 1-year buffer where they have to go to college. And it's at least kind of an in-between stage, you know, like, yeah, like you've got people taking care of you and watching over you. And, you know, like it's easier for them to do that when they're only dealing with 13 guys and they're all, you know, the same age, and you've got dorms and you've got all this sort of structure to take care of them. And, you know, you let them out into the, you know, to the real world at 18, and, you know, you have some of that you can do as an NBA team, but some of it's not the same. You know, I think, you know, the NBA, like with all this, the NBA, you know, it can decide if it wants to, you know, take them on again at 18, but like there's some level of free labor there that they're taking advantage of that the colleges are doing for them, that they get them for 1 year. And obviously the NFL gets 3 years of that. So there's some value there for them that you know, that they're going to need a reason for someone to tell them why you need to start taking 18-year-old kids again. And at the end, if I don't think the NBA has been pushing that direction, I think fans feel like they're, you know, getting cheated in some way by only getting these kids for a year. It's like, well, why don't you just push them on? Why even push them through the college ranks if they don't want to be there? But if you're the NBA, you're like, well, that works for me just fine.
Trace Jackson Davis gets the invite to the combine. So his decision is looming, coming soon. You know, he could go there and have a terrific workout. Charlie Miller previously said, you know, his body of work, they know what it is. Of course we do. But we also know what his negatives have been. And, you know, I wonder, what if he went into the combine and just had a great shooting camp? And, you know, his shooting, I was like, he doesn't shoot well, but he just has this great shooting camp. That could change everything for him.
No, 100% it could. And, you know, like obviously it certainly depends on who else you're looking at. You know, it's going to be different to do it in a camp and you know, because you don't have an in-game track record. But what it will tell you is, okay, maybe he's not that far away. You know, maybe like, maybe it's something that's worth, like, he's not going to be a top 10 pick based on what he does at this camp. I mean, like, there's a ceiling as to how high you can go. You know, I think if everything on earth goes right for him, he's still a late first round pick. You know, like if every single thing that could possibly go right goes right, you know, best case scenario, I think for him is like 25 or below, you know, like, you know, best case. But, you know, because he just doesn't have the shooting track record, like you know, like Jabari Smith's a 4-man who's going to go in there and, you know, he's shot, I don't know what he hit, 63s this year or something crazy. You know, like he's not going to be that, you know, because he doesn't have that track record. He hasn't proven it. But I mean, like you go into it not thinking he's a bad shooter. You go into it thinking he's just not a shooter. And so if you kind of find out, all right, well, actually his form looks good, it goes in a camp setting, it goes in a practice setting. He can't be that bad. It's not going to take full scale surgery to make him a shooter. Like he just has to do it. Like he just hasn't been asked to do it because of, strategic in-game reasons. It's been easier for him to get that, bucket around the rim. And they needed all the buckets they can get. So they didn't need to be, experimenting with him and putting him out there to shoot threes. They needed him to go get every single bucket they could and be as efficient as they could. And he did the right team thing. And, now if you're going to need him to shoot threes, he'll do it. And so I think that's the thing is that I think could absolutely change the way that he's looked at. And so that I think a lot of, there's been this big push. Well, he's going to come back. He's going to come back. I have no idea. And he shouldn't either. It's one of those things where like you got to let him take his crack at it. And if the GM still tell him, hey, we didn't, and they might say, hey, like we like what we see here. It's cool that you're doing this in practice. It's cool that you're doing this in camp. But we're not going to feel super duper confident about taking you on until you prove you can do it in a game. So go back, tell your coach to make you shoot threes. Tell your coach to bring a pick and pop package into your game and, demand it, or whatever, and just work on it and say, this is what you're going to have to do. That I think is there could be any amount of feedback, but if you're Trayce Jackson-Davis, I think you want every inch of it. If I'm Trayce, I don't declare what I'm doing until I've had my last workout, and like, I want the combine. And I want to show up at every individual workout that they'll let me show up at. And everybody that invites me, I'm going to go. And as soon as I'm done with all of those, I'm going to tell you, okay, I'm either coming or I'm either, staying in the draft or I'm coming back. I'm not telling anybody anything until I've heard from everybody I want to hear from. And if I've had every opportunity to shoot in front of people and they see how close or how far I am away from being a good shooter, or what that looks like. I want to know all of that before I make a decision.
And there's a big difference for him. I mean, there's still pressure in doing all this because there's the pressure of the workouts, pressure of performing, pressure of trying to further yourself. But there's a big difference when you are just expected to be 33% of the production, like whatever he was percentage-wise for Indiana. Sure. It was a lot. There's a lot more pressure when you're expected to do that. You're going to go what's comfortable and which is close to the rim. Why step out where it's not comfortable for him? But right. The question I have is why wasn't he working on this wholeheartedly for the last 3 years, knowing that this was probably the biggest missing link to his game?
I don't know that he wasn't. I mean, I think that's kind of Maxine's going to make a cameo
on
TV. So she's got other thoughts about what's going on someplace else. I guess she's less interested now in this discussion. No, I think I can't say that he hasn't been working on it. I think there's a behind, like there's the what we've seen story of Trayce Jackson-Davis' jump shot, and then there's the behind the scenes story of what's happened in Trayce Jackson-Davis' jump shot, and he's been a little bit reticent to fully explain that. And so I'm sort of hoping at some point that we can really ask during this draft process, maybe if he gets a Pacers workout or something like that, if we can go bother him there, maybe that'll, elicit a little bit more of a kind of complete response. But I mean, like you've obviously seen some of these YouTube, these clips that have shown up on Twitter, lately. Mike Schmitz, I guess, was out to see him at a workout in Los Angeles the other day, and it popped up on Twitter this week of him making some threes. And I don't think he just learned how to shoot in the last month and a half.
No.
I don't. I think that's been in there, someplace in the background. And I think in every season, it's just, maybe he was okay at it. Maybe it wasn't, but ultimately it wasn't worth for any of the coaches. And for him, he didn't feel like it was worth the risk, not of looking bad or whatever, but ultimately look, like the most efficient shots are, it's either get a layup or get a 3-pointer. And so what's an in-between shot is not efficient in game. Like you need to prove you can do it in the NBA because the 3-point line's further back and it sort of forces you to have to, find something in the mid range. if you're in certain positions or whatnot. But, especially in the college game, it's like it's threes and layups. And if you're not really confident with the three yet, you might not want to push it if you really think you can get to your, like he could get to his left hand every single time and get a bucket around the rim. I mean, he was a little bit less efficient when it came to those like kind of 5-foot hooks when he was pushed out from the rim a little bit. When he was at the rim, he was a 70% shooter. And so it's like, okay, like you got a 70% chance of getting a bucket here. And, Indiana was in way too many games where they need every single bucket. And they were they had to win way too many, games just to get themselves in the tournament. They were in too many cases where there weren't many they could throw away. I mean, they probably should have been more experimental with him in non-conference games. But I think that's really the driving force of it. I mean, I think a big thing this year that did make an impact was that for most of the year, Woodson's lack of trust in Xavier Johnson in the pick and roll. When he kind of explained that at the end of the year when we were in can't remember if we were in Portland or in Wyoming. I think it was the Dayton, before the Dayton game, we asked him a lot about pick and roll. And he was just like, I didn't trust, his X wasn't there yet. And basically it sounds like Trace and X went to Mike after, I think, the Purdue game and said, hey, we got to run a lot of more pick and roll. Look how good we are at this. And so if there was more heavy pick and roll, then you could, put some pick and pop in there. And that's where you get some threes. Whereas, I mean, Jackson Davis for most of this year is setting up at the low block. It's like, you want him to take 10, 5 steps back to take a jump shot, run back to the 3-point arc after he gets the ball to shoot it. It just didn't make sense to the geography of what was going on, on the floor there, where I think if you're running a lot more ball screen action, then maybe Jackson Davis can take some more threes just out of, just within the offense, where he just didn't kind of see it as being within the offense at the time.
Juwan Morgan I didn't think that he was going to make it in the NBA right out of college. And he used those workouts and he worked hard and he caught the eye. And now he is on a second contract. He is a true success story of hard ass work. And because he was not your prototypical, I'm like, if I'm looking at the draft back then, I'm like going, nah, he's not going to. Why would they draft him? What's he got? He worked his butt off to become the player he had to become. Yeah, no, there's ability there. I mean, he's got a lot of ability. I do think the investment in the G League and in that I do mean contracts is a big piece to it. Like they get paid enough now that it used to be a sketchy investment. It used to be like, are you really sure you want to go in the G League? You can make a lot more money if you go over in Europe. Like it's a safer bet to go into Europe. You're making like where it was like minor league baseball wages, where minor league baseball it's a dice roll as far as you're going to make it out of there. Like, is it the hope of getting that 2-way contract? Yeah. Well, if you get that 2-way, I mean, that 2 ways goes a long way because I mean, you're in, I think you're in the 6 figures with that. And so like, that's a big deal. And so like when you can, when you're financially stable enough and you can commit to the G League, without worrying about whether or not whether or not you can afford it, you can invest a lot better. And so I think Juwan Morgan's one of those guys that has, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot more guys that have come up the G League route, have been able to go there and develop, and work their way up there, and then be they were financially stable while they were in the G League, and they were able to really just commit to it and not sit there thinking the whole time about whether they should catch a plane someplace else. And then they really developed their game, figured out what the big league team needed, and found a way to provide it. And Juwan Morgan is one of those guys. I mean, you still have to invest. You still have to really, really care about it. But when you're playing with a bunch, it's probably getting to be, it might be the second best league now, as far as talent level. And if you're the NBA, that's what you need it to be. I think it's becoming that. And so guys that have really invested in the G League and bought in and said, okay, like I'm really going to work on my game here, have been able to make more leaps. I think you're seeing more guys that are, spending a significant amount of time in the G League, but making the most of it and having to turn them into a better player and then catching on and sticking around, because they can invest, because they're not sitting there thinking about like, all right, man, I'm making like 30K. How long can I do this? They can say, all right, I'm making 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever it is. And, like, this is
this is fine. Like I'm comfortable here, and therefore I can just invest. I think Juwan Morgan's one of those guys that could say that and say, all right, I got a two-way. I'm going to get called up every once in a while. I'm going to make enough money that I don't have to worry about whether I should be in Europe. I can really, lock down on making my game better, and he has.
Yeah, he's probably secured his future, to be honest. And good for him. Congratulations. What's new for you? I know, let's see, the last thing I saw from you, I think, was about Indiana potentially playing Arizona, which is spectacular, by the way. We haven't talked about that. That's just incredible, because that's going to take place, it looks like, the week before the game at Kansas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're seeing over and over again, for as much as he got chided for this year's non-conference schedule, I mean, he was consistent. He was straight up about it. He said at the beginning, like, I want to play really good teams, but I want to know what I have first, and it was basically like, look, like, I don't know anything about, I'm figuring out these guys. I mean, like, we've got a whole bunch of new faces, putting everybody in some bigger situations, because I don't know what I want to have. I don't know how much I can challenge them. So I'm just not. I'm going to take advantage of what's already in the schedule, presume that the Big Ten is going to push them enough that if we're good enough at the Big Ten, we'll get in the tournament, we'll be fine. I'm not going to beat these guys up because I just don't know what they have. And now he's like, all right, see, like, I want to, I feel good enough about what I'm doing. I can schedule tough games and they'll be okay. Maybe we'll lose them, but ultimately I feel like I can push these guys now. And so I think, filling in the Crossroads Classic with Kansas was sort of an immediate, message both by him in terms of his recruiting philosophy, but also for Indiana to say, we're going to make the most of this weekend that we're getting back now by not being in the Crossroads anymore. And so this one is another sort of big moment to say, all right, like, we're really, really getting after it. So, I mean, you presume you get those two, and you presume they're going to get a better ACC Big Ten matchup than they had a year ago. They're going to have one that's going to be more helpful as far as the long-term, net ranking. They'll get pushed a little bit more as far as an ACC matchup. So I think, those three will be sort of tentpole games in the non-conference schedule, and at least we'll get them a reasonably good one. Whether it's not going to be the toughest in the country, who knows? But if they get that, I don't know if they're due for if they're going to have two Gavitt games in a row or not. But those three, I think, get you somewhere with the schedule that it's not going to be trash. It's definitely not going to be in the 200s when the tournament comes around.
How quickly after Calipari is gone from Kentucky is Kentucky back on the schedule?
Immediately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too.
I mean, unless the guy that gets that job is going to not want to play it either. But I mean, I think Indiana is down for it whenever Kentucky wants to do it. And it's just, Calipari doesn't want any part of it. I don't know. He's always got. I mean, maybe he'll come back around. Maybe there will a time. I mean, like, he is, I think, the most openly, transparently transactional, Machiavellian, realist, whatever. Like, he is. You could take base level poli-sci classes can explain to you John Calipari. Like, all right, like what pawn and squares or whatever, where you say, okay, like, what is the obvious, move in his self-interest? It's entirely driven by self-interest. And so whatever Calipari feels like is in his self-interest at the time is what he's going to do. And, there's something oddly respectable about that. Like, he's easy to figure out, as far as that's concerned. But it's like, if it's in his self-interest to have a series with Indiana, he'll have it. And if it's not, he won't. It's that simple.
Yep. Unfortunately, I think it'll happen one day, but not until Calipari is gone. And that may not be that much longer. He's been there long enough. So
Kentucky's getting warned. Kentucky's getting bothered by him, but also, like, it all depends on him.
That's a lot of talent to have over 12 years and have one national championship to show for it.
Yeah, but nobody's kicking him out.
No, he can't. Now, hell, he's got that lifetime contract.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't push him out. Like, Kentucky's not pushing him out the door. Fans might be annoyed, but, like, he's going to leave when he finds the whole situation frustrating. Yeah. And who knows when that's going to be.
Probably not much longer, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I would say if
a couple years,
here 5 years, that'd be a pretty good over-under to set.
I would take the under on that.
That's impressive.
Not a lot, but it's not. I mean, I'm thinking 3.5, man.
Couple years. Like, but I think he wants to win one more though too.
Well, but so do their fans, and they know that they're not going to do that with him, except for maybe this transfer portal has opened up a new thing for him. We'll see. The NIL is certainly keeping Shebway for reportedly $2 million.
I think he can figure out another avenue. I do.
Yeah.
I like for as much as he's him, and like I don't know, I'd go so far as to say as I like him. I frequently I find him impressive in his own way. You know, like again, I think he probably do I think he's totally on the up and up? No, but in the same way, he's pretty straightforward about what he's about, and he usually figures out a way to do something. You know, to be successful. It's just like at the level that you wanted to be if you're Kentucky. No, but you know, like you got the title in there, you got a couple Final Fours in there. You know, like he's going to be. I think he can win one more.
We'll certainly find out, man. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times. I cannot thank you enough, as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, as always.
Make sure you give him a follow, Dustin Dopirak, on Twitter, and make sure you read him in the Bloomington Herald-Times. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want and not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate you, man.
Sounds good. See y'all next week.
Yes, sir. My coffee should be ready.
There's the king himself, Jim Reamer. Did you pull up the YouTube in a different tab so you can interact with commenters today?
Oh, shit. No, I'm doing it now, though.
Figured I would remind you.
That way I don't mysteriously just leave. Let's see. Is it live now? Okay, there we go. Live now.
It should have the logo and stuff on it and have all the guest names and stuff.
There we go.
The title. Get it?
Oh, that's skip ads. Okay, there we go.
Now you'll probably want to mute it so you don't hear 2 different things. You'll hear yourself twice.
Get it? Oh, that's skip ads. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You'll probably want to mute that.
There we go. Got it. Now I see everything. Nice. How do the camps stand up with all the AAU or travel teams that exist today? Which camps? Let's see.
Oh, they were talking about that stuff earlier in the first segment.
Is this the first time you've ever seen that stuff?
The YouTube side of it, yeah. I mean, I've seen the chats. I've seen the chat comments. There's been a couple times where it's been directly relevant with what we all were talking about. But then there's also been a couple of times where it was sort of a sidebar. You never got back to it, and I kind of wanted it was maybe something to me or something that I could answer.
Just make sure you're always at the bottom to stay up with the most recent comments.
Yeah. So what camps they talking about the NCAA stuff that they have in July? Is that what they were talking about? Let's see. Does IU have a shot?
We had Kyler Staley on earlier, and he was talking about some of the stuff coming up next week.
What's next week?
Adidas something.
The May Classic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really Adidas. That's just Adidas has let them keep the name, but it's not like it used to be. It used to be a stacked event. Now it's just a good local event.
Getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Monday. It's a beautiful day out. Hope you're getting to see some sunshine. Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana joins us now, brought to you by our good friends at the Courtroom Sports Grill, which is going to be bringing you this weekend. Make sure I got my dates right. Yep. This weekend is the Crawfest down in Bedford, sponsored by the Courtroom Sports Grill. 13th and 14th of May, this Friday and Saturday, at the Harp Commons in downtown, headlined by Clayton Anderson. You can go to Courtroom Sports Grill Facebook page for more information, but it sounds like a fun time. I'm planning on being there. Jim Reamer, he won't be there probably, but he'll miss out.
Where would I be? Where's that? The crawfish thing? Where's that at?
Crawfest, man, in Bedford.
Oh, now we got games this weekend, so we're back on the court.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna have to skip the games. No games for me, baby. Crawfish. The NCAA they have meetings this weekend, the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12. And the talk was the NCAA's impending attempt to crack down on school boosters using NIL, which I just laugh about, but I love this. Sports agent Russell Smith, whose Utah-based firm Outdoor Athlete Marketing represents around 80 college athletes, had this reaction. I think it's adorable that the NCAA is acting as if they're going to crack down on anything. That's would have been my exact words too. And so for them to even act like that they're now going to crack down on something, they're still chasing stuff from 5 years ago that they haven't finalized. And now that they've opened this Pandora's box, man, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's not going back in. There's just no way you can't set limits. So what are you going to do?
I think they can. I think they can evoke legislation to some degree to come around to their side. But I don't think it's this current group of leadership at the NCAA office. I mean, clearly outside of those who are just going to blatantly cheat, there has always been there has always been an underground need of regulation, because that's why the NCAA exists, right? I mean, that's why all this talk of people breaking off and leaving, at the end of the day, it's still the decision of presidents, university presidents. It's not like the athletics director at Alabama can all of a sudden come out and say, hey, Alabama's breaking free and moving in the direction of whatever they're, rumored, whatever the different variations of them breaking off would be, like a feeder league for the NFL or the Power 5 or Power 6 in basketball breaking away. It's still university presidents that make these decisions. And you have to wonder how many of them have the appetite to actually move into and start a new organization or go in a direction without organization. Is that not something that, am I the only one that sees it that way?
No, they're toothless to me. They've not been able to do much as it is.
Yeah, this current group of leadership is.
But even from a legal standpoint, there's certain things they can't do. They can't compel people to testify, for instance. It's not like they can send out a subpoena. They can if they're an employee still of the university. But what happens if you're like North Carolina? People just disappear. And then they no longer have to talk to the NCAA because they don't work at North Carolina any longer after 20 years of academic fraud.
But I think what happens when you're talking about financial fraud, now you're bringing in branches of government like the IRS, and you're going to wonder how that's going to be a whole other ball of wax, especially if like even the state legislatures that have created these laws to sort of pin the NCAA in, all of it has been geared toward name, image, and likeness. And I know there's a fine line between that and just people flat out giving them money. But I don't think at any time did these legislators think that this would just be about play for play or quid pro quo agreements. Because, look, bribery is still a law. There's still laws against bribery. There's still laws against there's still laws against kickbacks, especially when you're dealing with state institutions.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, those are illegal in and of themselves. The amount is irrelevant. With this, it's not the act, it's the amount that's causing the problem, but there's not how are you going to regulate the amount.
Correct. So if they turn to legislation and legislators decide this is not what we intended, and all of a sudden they start creating different types of laws or tweaking some of the laws they have, now you're going to force these kids and these families to go back under the table a little bit if they want these massive payouts. And then what you're going to end up having is situations where, I don't know, maybe I'm being too broad in my view of it in terms of what I think could happen. But now you're looking at situations where people are hiding serious money, and that's not always easy to do. I mean, it's not as easy as people think, especially when you're talking about ducking things like the IRS or well, I guess that's the main one.
You know what? I mean, I can't wait to get a contract agent or lawyer and an agent on to talk about this stuff because, they're going to have the opposite opinion because they're going to be representing their guys. And I don't know how people didn't expect us to turn into pay for play. My first question would be to them, are you stupid? What the hell did you think it was going to be? They were already cheating. And so now you've taken what they were doing and made that legal. Just you can hide it now. And now they're shocked that somebody went over the top. They're shocked that hell, there were kids making the kind of money that some of these kids are getting now legally that people are shocked about. Right. They were getting that before from some shoe companies and whatnot. So it's just kind of cracks me up that people are shocked by this.
But what we'll find out, and what we've found out in the shoe world, is that at some point they do care about return on investment. That's been clear. That's made clear lately with how Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour have doled out their sponsorship money, and that has been made clear in individual relationships, some of which are somewhat documented, some of which aren't documented. But you look at situations where these guys start throwing money around. They start to wonder how much is too much. How much are they going to be before they worry about what they're getting out of it? And some of them, some of them don't care. Some of them don't care. I mean, we could, Mark Cuban could probably fund an entire wing of NLI situations for IU athletics, but he seems concerned about return on investment as well as who is representing his brands. So maybe, and a lot of guys don't, I guess.
Because he's a businessman.
Correct.
I think, but I agree. It's going to take an act of Congress to set a law, and I think that you could and should and are going to need to establish laws that while you are a collegiate athlete, you can only make X because if you're being paid especially, and if you're making more than, let's say you're making more than $250,000 or whatever, the cost of your scholarship, while not taxable, should be added to that of what you're making, because that jacks that up substantially.
You're talking about universities that, look, the university itself does not fund these scholarships. All these scholarships are endowed. So these are monies that are not provided for by the general education financial population. So you're looking at situations where the NCAA could at least come out and say, look, anything above and beyond the cost of participation goes away. So they could eliminate scholarships altogether if they wanted to.
Well, it doesn't cost them anything, to be truthful. I've had this discussion before. Well, how does it cost Indiana University or any other university more money for one more student to be in this class?
Perhaps space.
Now I guess when you're talking the entire
space.
athletics
Correct.
department, now we're talking large numbers. So that's kind of where that comes into play.
Yeah,
but
and that's
most of athletes aren't scholarshiped either, though.
True. Yeah, but football, what is it? It's football, men's basketball, women's basketball. Is volleyball part of that group where those scholarships have to be full or nothing? And then the other sports start to go into partial scholarships. And,
yep.
And I've long maintained that the best job a high school kid could have, especially one that's athletically inclined, is working on their game to play in college, because we're not talking about just Division I schools. We're talking about there's a lot of money in basketball. There's a lot of money in football across the board, just when you're talking about subsidizing school expenses. So
yeah, it's but I don't see the NCAA. I just don't know what they can possibly do. It's the NCAA is not going to do anything. They have not been able to accomplish that when it was illegal. So they damn sure, I don't know what the hell they're going to do now that it's legal. Other than like I've agreed with you that it's going to have to be congressional laws, national laws. The funny thing is, this is stuff the NCAA fought for so long. Now they're fighting for it. It's so funny that they spent all these years fighting against certain things. Now they're fighting for them. It shows you how poorly they were run, and they were just the only reason they succeeded is because of the NCAA tournament, in essence.
And I think you've got situations too where a lot of this is going the direction that people who were against it, I guess you could count me in that sort of in that group. I was not against the players being paid. I was more for how was the process going to be handled, and the notion that it could just be a free market is, to me, that's an illegitimate claim, because it's clear that it has very little to do with the names in the back of the jersey. It has mostly to do with the names in the front. I think we've reiterated that many times. And I think the problem we'll find out is that the money being doled out is not change your life money. It's fun money, and it's a lot of money, but you can blow through a lot of money too pretty easily. And what will be interesting is how many of these kids get used to a lifestyle, because the amount of money they make in NIL don't change their professional prospects. Doesn't make them better players. Doesn't make them more marketable to the NBA in this instance, or the NFL in the case of football. So what happens after they get used to this certain lifestyle that they're accustomed to? Then all of a sudden it's all taken away from them, because they no longer have this drawing card of the name across the front of their jersey. And do people care about those kids? That's the stuff I worry about. And a short version of this is, it reminds me of a friend of mine growing up, a split family. Dad got him a BMW when he was 16. Mom was really, really upset. And I was only 2 years older than him. So I was like, why would she be upset about him getting a BMW? A brand new BMW to a 16-year-old.
Because it was cool. A better car than she had, probably.
It was definitely a better car than she had. But I drove a better car than my mom in a split family, but it wasn't a brand new BMW. But her point was now he's always going to want something better. We never want something worse. We always want something better.
That's okay though.
Even if it's newer, it is, unless you raise the bar so high that it's unrealistic to what you're actually capable of attaining. I mean, if you're paying these guys like pros, and they all of a sudden don't become pros, good luck. These dudes that are making, Nigel Pack, good luck making $400,000 your first year out of college.
Yeah, anywhere.
And hopefully he saves it. Hopefully they're intelligent with it. And I know
better, because that's life changing.
And he comes from a smart family.
Yeah.
It's short-term life changing. $400,000 is easy to blow through.
Yeah, but he's getting 800. So,
well, I know, but that's.
How about Western Kentucky? You're adding their big man stays there
about Sharp.
Lander, which I don't know what that adds, but they got the kid from Kentucky, Dante Allen. So Western Kentucky, one of them little mid majors, slowly building up a little something there.
Well, that's NIL money.
You think?
Yeah.
Who the hell is paying? Who the hell from Western Kentucky? It's Bowling Green, man. Who the hell is giving money there?
Corvette.
I don't know.
Fruit of the Loom. Fruit of the Loom.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of underwear.
I just had this discussion this morning. Sharp was supposed to be going to Missouri with his junior college coach, who's a guy that I know really well. I mean, from a coaching perspective, I've known Kyle Smith, Peter, for probably 16, 17 years. And
maybe there's something to that.
And he was successful at John Logan. He was successful. So he earned his job at Missouri. And supposedly Sharp, who played for him there before going to Western Kentucky, was supposed to be going with him to Missouri through the transfer portal.
Hey, we got to take a break. Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana is with us right now. And speaking of Courtside, don't forget this weekend, Courtroom Sports Grill is bringing you the 4th annual Crawfest down at the Harp Commons in Bedford, downtown Bedford. It's a 2-night event, Friday and Saturday, live music, all you can eat. So go to Courtroom Sports Grill's Facebook page for more information. And for all you that are listening right now, hit the like button for us, please. You know, that helps us immensely with the metrics.
It helps other people see our show.
There you go. But so help us help others. We really appreciate you guys for listening. But go ahead and hit that like button. It's easy. Just reach up there right now and hit it. We've got more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you right here after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
I just hit the like button. Boom.
There you go.
Like.
He's a participator and a viewer.
Gotta love figuring out the YouTube thing all of a sudden.
I don't know why people don't do that.
Which part?
People don't what?
Maybe they don't like us.
Well, see, one thing that YouTube does, if you have a profile on YouTube and you don't make videos, if you like something, it adds the video to a playlist that YouTube creates called your liked videos. And so if you're real particular about what you put in that playlist, you might not like the video.
I mean, we got 71 people watching now, only 23 people like. I mean, we got to convert, right?
And my eye is showing 77, so that means 6 people are watching on Facebook.
What are those 54 people doing? Come on, like us. Wow, now I'm pandering. Sorry.
That's okay, pander.
No.
Yeah, all these Ross asked about Dual. Yeah, Ross Dual is Garway Dual from Carmel is having a good spring. Curious as to how much of it would translate to college. But I do believe he's going to have the ball in his hands quite a bit at Carmel next year.
Carmel. The Carmel King.
Carmel Greyhounds. Yeah, I've been insufferable for the last decade when it comes to Carmel.
No, you're so down here in Kentucky, it's anybody from St. X or Trinity.
There you go.
Or at least in the Louisville area. That's what it's like. You don't get quite the same response from people who went to Male or Emmanuel. They're not the Catholic private schools, but they're also always really good in sports like St. X and Trinity are.
Yeah. You know, the problem with what I do and what I love is I've coached a lot of kids from Hamilton County, and over the years especially lately, where if they get beat in the sectional, it kind of sucks. I always feel bad for them. And when they win, I'm happy for them. Then I feel bad for my Carmel guys.
All right, here we go.
Certified pre-owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
I had my opener ready in case Jim didn't make it back to his chair.
Always makes it back, baby. A little coffee refill. 3 coffee day already. Holy cow.
Now we're getting Western Kentucky notable alums thrown at us in chat.
Who would that be?
The names are there. I don't know who any of them are.
One of them would be yours truly.
I don't
I'm
see
sorry.
on the big.
I thought he
don't see on
said
the big donor
notables.
list. Yeah,
I thought he said notables.
Oh, I had to do that.
Julian Goodman, former NBC president. Huh. Charles Hurdle, president of Ravens.
That's somebody means Baltimore.
I was going to say, wow. Brad Kelly, 4th largest landowner in the U.S. landowner. Wow, really? Larry Renfro, ex-VP of United Health. Did you know that the CEO of Disney is an IU grad?
Iger? No.
No, I don't know his name, but I saw a picture of him the other day. I did not realize this. But this is something I did know. For all of you, any Ozark fans out there? I finished Ozark finally.
Well, there you go.
I won't spoil for those
if they haven't watched it by now.
I just finished it. I just finished it last night. Or yesterday. But did you know that Ruth, the little curly blonde-headed girl, is an IU grad?
Jennifer Garner. Yeah. She's good. She stole the show.
I forget her name, but
Julie Garner.
That's her name?
I think so. I'll double check. Or Jennifer Garner.
No.
Somebody Garner.
Not Jennifer Garner. She's hot. She's tall and hot. Used to be married to Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Julia Garner.
Yeah. Never. This is a girl I had never heard of or seen before.
She's good looking when she's not got the rat curly hair.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying that she's not an attractive woman. Of course she is. That's neither here nor there. But she's an IU grad. More importantly, like not that long ago, like 2015, I think. So that's kind of wild because that means not long after leaving here, she started doing Ozark because Ozark has got 4 seasons in it. So how crazy is that? Walking around the Bloomington campus one day, a year and a half later, you're on a show that's going to be one of the biggest hits in the decade. Also, Breaking Bad, Mike from Breaking Bad. You know who Mike is? The basically the fixer for for Los Pollos. He's an IU grad. It's nuts. I mean, it's not an acting school. There's no drama here.
They don't have drama. They don't have drama.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it's not known for that. It's not like, they've got the #1 music school in the world. You've got a top 10 business school, one of the top 10 business schools. I don't think that the theater department is like known for being theater, but you've had some famous actors. Klein, was it Kevin Klein?
Yeah.
Also an IU grad. I mean, that's kind of nuts to me. That many people that are actors that's from a school that's not, it's not the actor studio here.
What's weird is she's from the Bronx.
Right, New York. Yeah. I'm like, I want to know why did she pick Indiana? I mean, why come to Indiana from New York? What was it? If she was she wanting to go into acting? Just curious. I'm trying to look up famous actors from Indiana University.
And she was excellent in the Americans too. That TV show.
Wait a minute. I did not know she was in the Americans.
Oh, she's one of the assets that they.
Holy cow! She can't be that old, man. She's only.
She plays almost like a child, not like she plays like a teen in that show.
But I mean, she must have hit the jackpot right out of leaving Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's been acting since 2010, evidently, according to her Wikipedia. She was great in the Americans.
Oh my gosh!
She effectively plays a late teen, and there's some issue there because there's obviously he tries to use her as an asset, and there's some romance in there, for lack of a better word.
All right, they had the top. Oh my gosh, this goes more to my argument. All right, but anyway, so I pulled up the 100 notable alumni of Indiana University Bloomington. Number one, they've got Mark Cuban. Mm-hmm. He's a billionaire, worth estimated $4.3 billion. I'm just laughing because that's just stupid money. Number two, I did not know that she was, but I don't see how she's number two. But Laverne Cox, she was on Orange is the New Black, which was on Netflix. I watched that. I remember that she was a transgender actress. I know who they are. I didn't put them number three. Number three, they've got Larry Bird, who I guess they include his 23 days attending Indiana University as being an alumnus. Then number four, you got Kevin Kline. Here about number five, Lee Majors, the $6 million man.
Yep.
I did not know that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. There's another one. Hold on. There's an older actor too.
It's from Matthew Quincy D'Addario, and I don't know who this dude is, but he's up there. He was on the Freedom television series Showhunters. Okay, I missed that. I never even heard of it. And they've got him at number 7. Come on, man. They've got him listed in front of Jonathan Banks, who plays Mike in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
They've got him listed ahead of Scott Jones too. So
Jimmy Wales. I don't know who he is, but Jimmy Donald Wales is an American-British internet entrepreneur webmaster. Ryan Murphy, James Watson, Victor Oladipo. You know who they don't have? Joe Buck. Jason Jordan, a professional wrestler. Never heard of him. Mark Spitz. How can you have Mark Spitz below any of these clowns? How can you have him below a professional wrestler? He won 7 Olympic medals. It just cracks me up.
I found some weird list here, but
the one that I haven't seen yet that now I've lost, Tavis Smiley. I did not know he went to Indiana. How about that? Did you know Jamie Moyer played baseball at IU?
I did know that, yeah.
I did not. David Chalmers, Australian philosopher. It cracks me up they put these athletes. Of course, they're in there, but there's somebody I had in my mind that now I've lost that I can't remember. Basil Jagas. I haven't seen Basil Jagas yet, but they've got Romeo Langford there at 44. But Basil Jagger, who is the father of Mick Jagger, who has a master's degree from IU, I've yet to see his name. But Pat Knight is there at 52. Ahead of Mike Woodson.
Pat Knight's there? Nice.
Yeah. I haven't seen Bob. Well, he's not. That's right. Bob's not an alumnus.
Not an alum, yeah.
But how do you put Pat Knight in front of Mike Woodson, first of all? Are you kidding me?
Don't forget Jim Jones.
I'm at 56, so maybe he's on here. But
I don't have your list. I'm looking at Wikipedia.
I just pulled this thing up. Del Harris. How about another NBA coach? Man, did not realize that. Where is he's still going? Currently the vice president of the Texas Legends of the NBA G League. an affiliate of the Dallas Mavericks. Makes sense. Longtime head coach in the NBA. I did not know that wow. Tara Vanderveer, Lawrence Frank, of course. Yada, yada. A lot of athletes, man, which I wanted the non-athletes. If I wanted an athlete list, I would just too many athletes on this. I mean, yeah, I think I asked for actors, but yeah, who was the person that I said that I still haven't seen?
Basil.
Yeah, Basil Jaggers. How's Basil Jaggers not on here? Whoever put this together didn't know what they were doing. Mickey Morandini. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Second
baseman. Get the hell out of here, man. Mickey Morandini. That's just so wild to go back and look at some of the names that were there. The athletes don't crack me up as Jerry Abramson. What? He's the former mayor of Louisville, longtime mayor of Louisville, and was lieutenant governor. Did not know he went to IU, unless he went to IUS or some crap. But anyway, Basil Jaggers did not make the top 100. Are you kidding me? Whoever put that together doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. How's Basil Jaggers not more notable than most people we haven't heard about?
Suzanne Collins.
The writer?
Yep. Hunger Games.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Ernie Pyle, of course, he was a journalist, but
yeah,
people don't realize my age or younger have no idea how famous Ernie Pyle. Or I do, but too many people don't. He was like he was the Walter Cronkite of war coverage. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Before, yeah. Korea.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was on national TV all the time, every day, all the time. And of course, the Ernie Pyle School of Journalism is no longer here. I don't know what. It's all part of the media school now, but. Oh yeah, God, you had to bring that up, Pete, didn't you? Had to bring that one up. Yeah, had to bring that one up.
Jim Jones and Jared Fogle.
Jim Jones and Jared Fogle. Holy cow. Yeah, that's
How about Venus Williams coming in with a remote degree?
What?
Yeah, I knew about that in real time. That was discussed in real time.
I think I remember that and forgot. That just happened not long ago.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was online, but still, it's
what you know. What I was talking to a girl yesterday that's graduating, and I was talking about she's taking a year off and then going to get her master's. And I'm like, well, where are you going to go? She goes, I don't know. I don't care really because I'm loving online now. It's just it works so well for me. She said I had a 4.0.
Actually, Venus Williams, her degree is from IU East.
Oh, Richmond.
Yeah,
that's
definitely online.
Why? But it must have been it was a specific class. But why would she take a class, or did she get a degree? Did you say
she got a degree? Yeah, from it says IU East. I mean, it doesn't say what her degree's in. I guess I could find out.
I wonder why. And is that in the movie?
Probably postdates the timeline of the movie. The timeline of the movie, not the release of the movie, but the timeline of the movie.
Keep my degree out your mouth. Keep my degree out your mouth.
There were some other words in there that he used.
Let's see. I heard a good joke last night about. Did you see where what's his name? I got attacked last week. Dave Chappelle.
No.
Yeah, on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, and Chris Rock was there, and he came out and said, "Was that Will Smith?" Seriously, they had to tackle a guy, man.
Jeez.
Well, we appreciate the extra 2 people that are listening that hit the like button.
People need to stay in their lane.
Man, come on, guys.
Most people, from what I've noticed with the like button, whenever we share the show after it's been recorded and it's no longer live, most of the likes from the show come after the fact.
Oh, right. So our live listeners don't care enough.
That's what it seems like.
Wow. Gee,
we're shaming our audience.
Actually, hold on. I can tell you right now, I'm looking at, so for some reason, StreamYard, I don't know if it's only showing Facebook likes, but we have 32 likes from YouTube listeners and watchers this morning.
Well, it's up by a third since we've started promoting it.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. Well, great deal. Where are we? Oh yeah, perfect.
2 minutes.
It's been another fun day, man. What so the weekend off, back at it this weekend.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. You can tell I have a voice.
Oh yeah. How about this? Dick Enberg. Forgot about that one. Dick Enberg, an IU grad. He's a good one too. Man.
Venus Williams got a degree in business administration.
Thank you, Debbie. We love you. She's the best. But you're all the best. What's the rest of your week like?
We play again this weekend, so that's good. We took the weekend off. We'll play in the Adidas May Classic this week.
How important is that weekend off for the kids? I mean, even though you're kids, after a while you need a break, man.
I mean, they get tired of me. Just be point blank. I get it. You can't ride these kids hard like we do, and it's different from a school team where there really is no break. But it's 1.5 games a week on average, so it's not, we're playing 5-6 games a weekend and we're kind of pounding these guys a lot with just most of it. I mean, 99% of it's just coaching points and barking points, but there's still some, look, man, you got to compete, you got to stay focused, you got to be coachable, et cetera, so forth. And it can be draining on these kids. And I think our group has responded. And so a week off is great.
Picture, John. Snoop D-O-double-G. Jennifer, who follows us, went down to see Snoop D-O. No, that's the one of him in the IU jacket. I was talking about Jennifer's picture. She got her picture.
I don't have that in my bank.
Oh, man. She got to meet Snoop Dogg this weekend. Can you imagine that? I was like, I saw that. I'm like, that's nuts. Very cool for her. Hey, we got to go, man. It's been a great one. I cannot thank you guys enough. Big thanks to Charlie Miller, of course. Thanks to Kyler Staley, Dustin Dopirak, Jim Reamer, John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Cannot thank you enough. Looking forward to being back and doing this again tomorrow. We'll be here. Hopefully you guys are too. Thank you so much. Go out and have yourselves a great day. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.